have a little lesson on hurricane hunters. These fearless scientists fly into fearsome storms. On a muggy September morning in 2002, Captain Chad Gibson boarded a plane in Mississippi. Then he calmly tightened his seatbelt. He knew things were about to get rough. Hurricane Lily was raging over Cuba. The fierce storm was already affecting weather there, and it was getting stronger. Yet Gibson planned to fly through the eye of the hurricane. Hurricane Heroes. Captain Gibson is part of a special U.S. Air Force Reserve Unit. They're known as the Hurricane Hunters. Hurricane Hunters learn all they can about the powerful storms. To collect data, Hurricane Hunters fly through fearsome weather. The flight is anything but comfortable. The plane is hot, stuffy, and noisy, and the winds make the flight very bumpy. Flying into hurricanes sounds dangerous. It is, but for Gibson, it's all part of a day's work. It's just a job, he says. You know, a lawyer goes to his office. We get on our plane. 6 crew members fly on each mission. They don't just sit around. To help gather data, they launch drop zones into a hurricane. A drop zone looks like a cylinder. It picks up humidity, temperature, and wind speed. It then radios that data to the plane. The drop zone has to be tough. High winds toss it around. In this picture, left, is hurricane hunters get ready to fly into a hurricane. Far left, from space, a hurricane looks peaceful, but the winds are whipping around at 74 miles an hour or more. Hurricane season. Hurricanes are the most powerful, destructive storms known. Even a mellow one packs steady winds of at least 74 miles per hour. In stronger storms, hurricane winds reach more than 150 miles per hour. Gibson says hurricanes are hundreds of miles across. They can be bigger than several U.S. states combined. Hurricanes form only in warm tropical oceans at certain times of the year. Hurricane season usually lasts from June to November. Hurricanes have fairly humble beginnings. They usually start as a few thunderstorms. Sometimes light winds blow these storms together to form a monster thunderstorm. A monster thunderstorm is dangerous, but it's no hurricane. Sometimes storm clouds blow together. They can form a whirlpool cloud. If the winds in the cloud reach 74 miles an hour, you have a hurricane. When that happens, weather forecasters are in for a rough ride. Winds of change. Most hurricanes don't cause many problems. They stay over the ocean. A few, however, head straight for the land. Several hurricanes strike the U.S. every year. A few hurricanes may not sound like much, but the hurricanes pack a wallop. They blow down houses, kick up huge ocean waves called storm surges, and cause floods. If a hurricane ever heads your way, listen to weather reports. You may want to grab your raincoat and move. You don't want to be around when a full-strength hurricane comes to town. Look at that storm. Look at what it did. Holy moly. And we'll look at that map in a minute. Flying into Hurricane Lily. Gibson remembers Hurricane Lily. The storm was particularly nasty. It had heavy winds, heavy rains, and winds over 110 miles an hour, and it was getting stronger. That was scary because it was headed straight for New Orleans, recalls Captain Gibson. The hurricane hunters needed to learn 2 things about Lily. Was the storm as strong as it looked, and would it hit New Orleans? As Gibson flew into the storm, he could see a wall of dark, churning clouds in front of his plane. It marked Lily's eye wall. That's the stormy inner ring of a hurricane. The eye wall is the area of the strongest winds typically, said Gibson. There's also an extreme amount of lightning with Hurricane Lily. You'll see different colored lightning bolts like blue and yellow. Seconds later, the plane was inside the storm. Rain poured down so hard that Gibson could barely see the wingtips. The plane rocked. Suddenly it dropped. Anything or anybody not strapped in was slammed into the ceiling. Hurricane winds lash the shore. The winds can topple trees and blow down houses. That's that picture that we looked at over here. Eye of the storm. To learn more about the hurricane, Gibson checked the data radioed from the drop zones, but the plane was shaking so hard he couldn't read the computer screen. Suddenly, everything stopped shaking. The plane had flown into the hurricane's eye. That's the hole in the middle of the storm. Inside the eye, everything is totally calm. There aren't even any clouds. Once you break out of the eye wall, you can look up and see clear blue sky. The winds will drop to nothing, says Gibson. While in the eye, the hurricane hunters had to work fast. In less than 5 minutes, their plane would soar across it. Then they would fly into the other side of the eye wall. After the storm, luckily, Gibson and his crew got the data they needed. As a result, a hurricane warning was issued for New Orleans. Sure enough, Lily hit there later the next day. No one was hurt. Later, Gibson and the other hurricane hunters met some of the people who had been warned about Hurricane Lily. One woman came up and gave him a big hug. Gibson smiled back. That's the bottom line for all of us, why we do it. It's that we do save lives. All right, so let's look at where do hurricanes form. So this is a map of the world. All right, Asia, Australia, North America, that's us. All right, and then we have Europe and Africa. So the light blue is where hurricanes most often develop. All right, so you can see them that Australia and Asia, they get theirs over there. They don't usually come our way. See the arrows? They don't come towards us. Then we have the warm tropical area off of Mexico, which hits California. And then we have, it comes off the coast of Africa, and it hits that nice warm area in the Caribbean. And that's how we get our hurricanes.